The Zorgan invasion. The Zorgan war machine was unstoppable. As it consumed the galaxy in flames, only the terrifying humans dared to stand against it. The Galactic Council, paralyzed by fear, watched helplessly as the Zorgan enslaved planet after planet. In the council chamber, Ambassador Sirius slammed his fist on the table, his deep blue Norscan skin flushing purple with rage. Those spineless fools sit on their hands while the Zorgan butcher entire civilizations. Zephyr, his young aide, shifted nervously. Perhaps we could seek aid from the Eldari or Quarry. Surely they wouldn't stand idle. Sirius scoffed. The Eldari are isolationists. They care nothing for the plight of lesser races, and the Quarry are too busy squabbling among themselves. We have no allies to turn to. An urgent ping interrupted their conversation. Sirius activated the holo display, his yellow eyes widening as he read the message. By the stars, the Zorgan have invaded Maluya. The Council is gathering a defense fleet, but his voice trailed off. They both knew any help would arrive too late. Maluya, known across the galaxy for its miraculous medical technology, would fall before reinforcements could reach them. The once gleaming cities would be reduced to ashes, and the greatest minds of the age would fill Zorgan slave pits or graves. Sirius clenched his jaw, shoulders sagging under the weight of despair. Was this how it ended? Were the Zorgan truly unstoppable, or did one slim hope yet remain? A last desperate roll of the dice that might save Maluya, and just maybe the galaxy. Sirius turned to his aide, voice heavy with grim finality. Send word to Earth. Tell the humans we need their help. The console pinged again, drawing Sirius and Zephyr's attention. Sirius accessed the message, his brow furrowing in confusion. The sender's name was the United Terran Federation. I've only heard whispers about these humans, Zephyr said. What could they possibly want with us? Sirius scanned the message, skepticism evident in his tone. This Joshua Grant claims they wish to aid in Maluya's defense. But what do we really know of these humans? Rumors paint them as a savage, warlike species. Zephyr saw potential. But think of the tales of their resourcefulness and tenacity. If even half of what I've heard is true, they could be valuable allies. We should at least hear what they have to say. Reluctantly, Sirius composed a reply, inviting Joshua Grant to a meeting. When the human diplomat arrived, Sirius was taken aback by his appearance. Unlike the tall Lithnorskans, Joshua was compact and muscular, with pale skin and dark hair. Despite his alien features, he carried himself with confidence. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Ambassador Sirius. Joshua began, his voice steady. I understand your reservations, but I assure you, the UTF is committed to stopping the Zorgan threat. Sirius leaned forward, his interest piqued. And just how do you propose to do that? The Zorgan have cut through the defenses of far more advanced civilizations, like a plasma torch through durasteel. Joshua smiled, a glint of determination in his eye. We've been monitoring the Zorgan closely, studying their tactics and technology. We've developed specialized countermeasures. With your permission, we can have a fleet of our most advanced warships in Maluyan space within a single rotation. Sirius's eyes widened at the speed of the proposed deployment. Impressive. But what makes you think your ships can fare any better against the Zorgan than those of the Galactic Council races? Our vessels are equipped with state-of-the-art shield technology designed to withstand even the Zorgan's plasma weaponry, Joshua explained. And our Special Forces units are trained in infiltration and sabotage. They can breach Zorgan ships and strike at critical systems from within. As Joshua laid out the details of the UTS plan, Sirius found himself warming to the idea. The humans clearly had capabilities he hadn't anticipated, and their willingness to step up where the Council had faltered was admirable. Perhaps with the aid of these enigmatic Terrans, Maluya stood a fighting chance after all. Zephyr, too, seemed heartened by the humans' words. Maybe this is the lifeline we've been searching for, if the humans can truly do what they claim. As the battle unfolded in real time on the holo display, Sirius and Zephyr watched in awe as the UTF fleet deftly outmaneuvered the Zorgan armada. The human ships, though fewer in number, seemed to anticipate every move their enemy made, evading plasma fire with graceful precision. "Look at the way they move," Zephyr marveled. "It's like they're reading the Zorgans' minds." Sirius nodded, unable to tear his gaze away. "Their coordination is unlike anything I've ever seen. How do they do it?" As if on cue, Joshua Grant's face appeared on a secondary display, a look of determination etched upon his features. "Ambassador Sirius, I wanted to give you an update on our progress." "Please, go ahead," Sirius said. "Our special forces have successfully infiltrated several key Zorgan ships," Joshua reported, pride evident in his voice. "They're working to disable the enemy's weapons and engines from within." "Your soldiers are incredibly brave," Zephyr said, shaking his head in disbelief, "risking their lives for a species they've never even encountered." "That's the thing about humans, Zephyr," Joshua replied. "We have a saying back on Earth: all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing." We couldn't stand by and watch the Zorgan destroy another innocent civilization. A ray of hope. The battle over Maluya was fierce, but the UTF fleet, guided by their advanced AI Athena, held their ground. The Zorgan ships, used to easy victories, struggled against the humans' innovative tactics and advanced technology. "Look at their formations," Sirius said, his eyes glued to the screen. "They're adapting in real time. It's like they have a mind of their own." Joshua Grant's face reappeared on the holo display, a hint of pride in his eyes. "That's thanks to Athena, our most advanced AI system. She's been analyzing the Zorgan's tactics and coordinating our fleet's movements to maximize our effectiveness." Zephyr's eyes widened. "An AI that can outsmart the Zorgan. That's incredible." "Athena is just one of the many technological marvels the UTF has developed," Joshua said. "But I assure you, she's more than a match for the Zorgan." As the battle raged on, the UTF Special Forces teams infiltrated the Zorgan ships, disabling their critical systems and sowing chaos from within. The Zorgan, unaccustomed to such resistance, began to falter. Sirius and Zephyr watched in awe as the UTF forces pressed their advantage. The human ships, guided by Athena, moved with precision and coordination that left the Zorgan reeling. One by one, the enemy vessels were disabled or destroyed. Finally, after hours of relentless combat, the Zorgan fleet began to retreat. The UTF had achieved what seemed impossible. They had driven back the Zorgan and secured Maluya. Joshua's face appeared on the screen once more, a triumphant smile on his lips. "Maluya is safe. The Zorgan are in full retreat." Sirius felt a lump form in his throat, his eyes stinging with sudden emotion. "Your people are truly remarkable, Joshua. You've saved Maluya, and perhaps the entire galaxy." "It's not just about saving one world," Joshua replied. "It's about standing up to tyranny and oppression wherever it exists. The Zorgan won't stop until they've conquered everything. We have to be just as relentless in our fight against them." Zephyr nodded slowly, a newfound respect dawning in his eyes. "You've shown us what it means to be true allies." "Thank you, Joshua." As the dust settled from the battle, Sirius and Zephyr found themselves reflecting on what they had witnessed. The humans had not only stepped up to defend a species they barely knew, but had done so with a level of skill and technology that rivaled the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. "Perhaps," Sirius mused, "there is more to these humans than meets the eye. And if they can truly turn the tide against the Zorgan, then perhaps we have a chance." Zephyr agreed. "We should strengthen our alliance with the UTF. Together, we can stand against the Zorgan and protect our galaxy from their tyranny." With a renewed sense of hope and determination, Sirius and Zephyr set about forging a stronger bond with the humans. They shared knowledge, resources, and strategies, preparing for the next inevitable clash with the Zorgan. The Zorgan, however, were not ones to accept defeat lightly. Enraged by their loss at Maluya, They began to marshal their forces for a counterattack. The galaxy held its breath, knowing that the next battle would be even more devastating. But Sirius, Zephyr, and their new allies in the UTF were ready. They had seen the true strength of humanity, and they knew that with the Terrans by their side, they could stand against any threat. The fight for the galaxy was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, there was a ray of hope. The terrifying humans had come to the rescue, and with their help, the galaxy might just survive the coming storm. The battle for Zyria. The victory at Maluya was a significant win, but it was only the beginning. As the Galactic Council and the UTF consolidated their forces, an urgent distress call came through. The Zorgan had launched an attack on Zyria, a peaceful agricultural planet with no defenses. Sirius's fingers flew across the console as he read the distress call. The Zorgan are attacking Zyria. They're trying to catch us off guard while we're focused on Maluya. Zephyr's face paled. But the Zyrians have no defenses. They're a peaceful people. They won't stand a chance. Sirius nodded grimly, already opening a channel to Joshua Grant. The human diplomat's face appeared on the screen, his brow furrowed with concentration. Joshua, we have a situation. The Zorgan are attacking Zyria. We need tow. I'm already on it, Joshua interrupted. I'm dispatching a squadron of our AI drones to Zyria now. Sirius blinked in surprise. AI drones, but your fleet is already engaged at Maluya. How can you defend both planets? Joshua smiled, a hint of pride in his voice. We've been holding these drones in reserve. They're equipped with the same Athena AI that's been coordinating our fleet. They can operate independently and adapt to the Zorgan's tactics in real time. Zephyr leaned forward, his eyes wide with awe. Autonomous AI drones. That's incredible. Joshua nodded, his attention already back on his console. Athena, initiate Zyria defense protocol. Authorization grant Alpha 7. On the view screen, Sirius and Zephyr watched as a swarm of sleek silver drones detached from the UTF fleet, streaking toward Zyria at impossible speeds. As the drones entered Zyria's orbit, the Zorgan fleet came into view, hulking enemy ships with plasma cannons glowing with deadly intent. But the drones did not hesitate. They swarmed the Zorgan fleet, moving with a fluid grace that belied their mechanical nature. Plasma fire erupted from the enemy ships, but the drones weaved and dodged, always a hair's breadth ahead of the deadly blasts. And then, as one, the drones struck. Precise beams of concentrated energy lanced out, targeting the Zorgan ship's engines, weapon systems, and shield generators. The enemy vessels shuddered under the onslaught, their hulls buckling and sparking. Sirius and Zephyr watched transfixed as the drones pressed their advantage. In mere minutes, the once fearsome Zorgan fleet was reduced to a collection of drifting, powerless hulks. Zyria is secure, Joshua said softly. The Zorgan fleet is in full retreat. Sirius shook his head in disbelief. Your drones, they made it look easy. Joshua chuckled, but there was a hint of something darker in his voice. Easy? No, but effective. We humans have learned the hard way that sometimes the only way to protect the innocent is to be better at violence than those who would do them harm. Zephyr nodded slowly, a newfound respect in his eyes. And at Maluya, how goes the battle there? Joshua's smile widened. See for yourself. The view screen shifted, showing the space above Maluya. The UTF fleet, battered but unbroken, hung in formation while the remnants of the Zorgan armada drifted listlessly, their weapons silent and their engines dark. As Sirius and Zephyr watched, the Zorgan ships began to blink with the telltale signs of surrender. It's over, Joshua said softly. Maluya is safe. Zyria is safe. The Zorgan have been defeated. Sirius felt a lump form in his throat, his eyes stinging with sudden emotion. In a single day, the humans had accomplished what the Galactic Council had deemed impossible. They had stood against the Zorgan and emerged victorious, not just once, but twice. and they had done it with a skill and technological prowess that defied belief. Drones, advanced shield technology, special forces trained in infiltration and sabotage. The humans wielded these tools with a mastery that spoke of a long and bloody history of conflict. But they had also shown a compassion and selflessness that belied their violent reputation. They had risked their lives, their ships, for a species they barely knew, simply because it was the right thing to do. Sirius turned to Zephyr, his voice thick with emotion. I think we may have badly misjudged these humans. Forging alliances. With the victories at Maluya and Zyria, the Galactic Council began to see the humans in a new light. Ambassador Sirius and Zephyr were invited aboard the U.S. Odyssey, the flagship of the United Terran Federation, to discuss future cooperation. The sleek corridors and advanced technology of the human vessel were a stark contrast to the utilitarian design of their own ships. Joshua Grant greeted them warmly as they entered the conference room, flanked by a team of human specialists. Ambassador Sirius, Zephyr, welcome aboard the Odyssey, Joshua said. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Liam Nichols and Colonel Sarah Thompson. Dr. Nichols, a slender man with keen eyes, nodded in greeting. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I've been looking forward to discussing the intricacies of our Athena AI system with you. Colonel Thompson, a muscular woman with close-cropped hair, offered a firm handshake, and I'm eager to share some insights into the training and capabilities of our Special Forces units. As the group settled around the conference table, Dr. Nichols launched into a detailed explanation of Athena. You see, Athena is far more than a simple computer program. She's a highly advanced, self-learning system capable of analyzing and adapting to enemy tactics in real time. Sirius leaned forward, his interest piqued. How long have you been developing this technology? For years, Dr. Nichols replied. We've always known that the Zorgan or other hostile species could pose a significant threat. Athena was designed to give us an edge in any potential conflict. Colonel Thompson chimed in. And it's not just our technology that sets us apart. Our special forces undergo rigorous training and are equipped with the most advanced gear available. They're able to operate effectively in any environment, against any adversary. Zephyr, his eyes wide with admiration, asked, how do you foster such adaptability in your military? Innovation and adaptability are at the core of our military doctrine, Colonel Thompson explained. We're constantly pushing ourselves to stay ahead of potential threats. It's what allows us to respond quickly and effectively to situations like Maluya and Zyria. As the debriefing continued, Sirius and Zephyr found their respect for the humans growing with each revelation. It was becoming clear that the UTF's success was not just a result of advanced technology, but also a product of their unique mindset and approach to problem-solving. Joshua, sensing their growing admiration, extended an invitation. Ambassador Sirius, Zephyr, I'd like to invite you to visit Earth. I believe there's much you could learn from our culture and society, and fostering a strong relationship between the Galactic Council and the UTF could be key to maintaining peace and stability in the galaxy. Sirius and Zephyr exchanged a glance, their decision made. We would be honored to accept your invitation. Joshua, Sirius replied. It's clear that we have much to learn from your remarkable species. As their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Sirius and Zephyr gazed out the viewport in awe at the sprawling metropolis of New Geneva. Gleaming skyscrapers pierced the clouds, their sleek lines and graceful curves unlike anything they had seen before. Amidst the urban landscape, vibrant oases of green space wove between the buildings, trees and gardens thriving in the heart of the city. The shuttle alighted gently on a landing pad, where a delegation of human leaders awaited them. President Michael Novak, a tall man with salt and pepper hair and a warm smile, stepped forward to greet them. Beside him stood Amanda Chen, the Secretary of Interstellar Relations, her dark eyes sparkling with intelligence. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Sirius, Zephyr, President Novak said, clasping their hands in turn. It's an honor to host you here in New Geneva. As they walked into the city, Sirius and Zephyr couldn't help but marvel at the technology that surrounded them. High-speed maglev trains whisked passengers from one end of the city to the other in mere minutes. Holograms flashed news and advertisements in dazzling colors. Everywhere they looked, humans of all shapes, sizes, and colors went about their business, a testament to the diversity of this remarkable species. "I must admit, I'm impressed," Sirius said as they strolled through a park, the scent of blooming flowers filling the air. "Your cities are unlike anything I've seen before. Such a perfect blend of technology and nature." Amanda Chen smiled. "It's taken centuries of trial and error to achieve this balance, but we've learned that for a society to thrive, it must work in harmony with its environment, not against it." That evening, at a state dinner held in their honor, Sirius and Zephyr found themselves engaged in conversation with a fascinating array of human experts. Dr. Elisa Nakamura, a xenobiologist, captivated them with her insights into Zorgan physiology and psychology. "The Zorgan evolved on a high-gravity world," she explained, her eyes alight with passion for her subject. "As a result, their bodies are incredibly dense and muscular. But this also means they have difficulty adapting to rapid changes in environment, a weakness that could be exploited." Sirius leaned forward, intrigued. "Please, tell us more." As the evening wore on, Sirius and Zephyr soaked in the history and culture of this remarkable species. They learned of the great conflicts that had nearly torn humanity apart and the even greater triumphs that had united them. They heard stories of the first colonies on Mars, the discovery of faster-than-light travel, and the formation of the United Terran Federation. And through it all, one theme emerged: the indomitable human spirit, the refusal to surrender in the face of adversity, and the constant drive to explore, discover, and reach for the stars. As the dinner drew to a close, President Novak took Sirius and Zephyr aside in a quiet corner of the room. He spoke to them earnestly. "Ambassador Sirius, Zephyr, I'll be frank. The Zorgan threat is the greatest challenge the galaxy has ever faced. But I believe that together, the UTF and the Galactic Council can meet this challenge head-on. We can defeat the Zorgan and usher in a new era of peace and cooperation." Sirius, who had once been so skeptical of humanity, found himself nodding in agreement. He saw now the true strength of this species, not just in their technology or their military might, but in their spirit, their resilience, and their unshakable moral compass. "You're right, President Novak," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "The Galactic Council has been blind for too long, but no more. It's time we stood together, humans and Norskins, Eldari and Query, all the free peoples of the galaxy. It's time we made our stand against tyranny." The Zorgan's next move. Back at the Galactic Council's headquarters, Sirius and Zephyr stood before the assembled representatives, their voices ringing with conviction as they recounted their experiences on Earth. The vast chamber hummed with the murmurs of 100 different species, each digesting the implications of the humans' remarkable achievements. "The humans are not just technologically advanced," Sirius declared, his yellow eyes scanning the crowd. "They possess a spirit of innovation, a drive to explore and discover that sets them apart from any other species we have encountered." Zephyr nodded in agreement, his voice filled with admiration. "In the face of the Zorgan threat, the humans did not hesitate to stand with us, to risk their lives for a species they had never even met. Their bravery and selflessness are a testament to their character." But as Sirius and Zephyr spoke, they could see the doubt and uncertainty on the faces of some of the council members. A tall, spindly Query representative rose from his seat, his multifaceted eyes glinting with suspicion. "The humans' actions are indeed impressive," he said, his voice a raspy whisper. "But can we trust a species with such advanced weaponry? What if they turn their aggression towards us once the Zorgan threat is eliminated?" "The humans have proven themselves to be true allies," a voice said. Sirius turned to see a tall, ethereal figure gliding towards the center of the chamber. The Eldari representative, Lysandria, moved with a grace that seemed to defy gravity. A hush fell over the council as Lysandria spoke, her voice a melodic whisper that seemed to fill the chamber. The Eldari have watched the humans closely, and we have seen the depth of their courage and the strength of their resolve. They are a young species, yes, but they possess a wisdom beyond their years. Lysandria turned to face Sirius and Zephyr, her silver eyes boring into theirs. The Eldari have a long history with the Zorgan, she said, her voice heavy with the weight of centuries. We fought them long ago, when they first emerged as a threat to the galaxy. We know the depths of their cruelty, the relentlessness of their aggression. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices, some raised in support of Lysandria's words, others in opposition. But through the chaos, Sirius could feel a glimmer of hope beginning to take root in his heart. He turned to Zephyr, his voice low and urgent. "This is it," he said, his eyes shining with determination. "This is our chance to forge a new alliance, to bring the galaxy together against the Zorgan threat. With the humans and the Eldari by our side, we can do this. We can win." As the debate raged on in the Galactic Council chambers, Sirius's communicator chimed with an urgent message. He glanced at Zephyr, who nodded, and the two stepped out into the hallway. Joshua Grant's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. "Ambassador Sirius, Zephyr, I apologize for the interruption, but we've uncovered critical intelligence about the Zorgan's next move." Sirius leaned in, his brow furrowed. "What have you learned?" "Our spy network has discovered that the Zorgan are planning a massive offensive on the Quaxar system," Joshua explained. "They're after the hyperspace nexus there. If they gain control of it, they'll have access to the entire galaxy." Zephyr's eyes widened. "By the stars, we can't let that happen." Joshua nodded. "Agreed. We've been working on a plan to counter this offensive, but we need the help of the Galactic Council and the Eldari to succeed." Sirius frowned. "What does this plan involve?" "A coordinated strike on key Zorgan supply lines and command centers," Joshua said. "We need to combine forces, human, Eldari, and Council, to hit them hard and fast." Zephyr turned to Sirius. "We have to bring this to the Council immediately. There's no time to lose." The two ambassadors rushed back into the chambers, interrupting the ongoing debate. Sirius quickly outlined the situation, his voice filled with urgency. "Esteemed members of the Council, the time for deliberation is over," he declared. "We must act now to prevent the Zorgan from gaining a foothold in the Quaxar system. If they succeed, the entire galaxy will be at risk." Lysandria, the Eldari representative, rose from her seat. "The Eldari stand with the humans and the Council in this matter," she said, her voice ringing with authority. "We pledge our support in the coming battle." As the Council began mobilizing its forces and coordinating with the UTF and Eldari, Sirius and Zephyr found themselves reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. To think, just a short time ago, we dismissed the humans as primitive and violent, Sirius mused, and now they've become our greatest allies and hope in the fight against the Zorgan. Zephyr nodded. "It's not just their technology or military prowess that sets them apart. It's their indomitable spirit, their willingness to stand up for what's right, no matter the odds." As the combined fleet of human, Eldari, and Council ships set out for the Quaxar system, Sirius and Zephyr knew that the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. But with the humans by their side, they felt a glimmer of hope that they could defeat the Zorgan and bring lasting peace to the universe. The battle for Quaxar. As the combined fleet of human, Eldari, and Council ships emerged from hyperspace on the fringes of the Quaxar system, Sirius and Zephyr stood on the bridge of the U.S. Odyssey, their eyes fixed on the view screen. The sight that greeted them was one of chaos and destruction. The Zorgan armada swarmed around the system's planets like a plague of locusts, their ships bristling with weapons, and their intentions clear. "By the stars," Zephyr whispered, his voice tinged with a mix of awe and horror. "I've never seen anything like it." Sirius nodded grimly, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. "The Zorgan have always been a formidable foe, But this is something else entirely. As if on cue, the Zorgan ships began to turn towards the Allied fleet, their weapons powering up with an ominous hum. But before they could fire, a swarm of UTF fighters streaked past the Odyssey's viewport, their sleek forms darting and weaving through the enemy formation with incredible speed and agility. "Those must be Commander Reese's pilots," Sirius said, his eyes widening as he watched the human fighters engage the Zorgan ships. "I've heard stories about their skill, but to see it in person." Zephyr could only nod in agreement, his gaze transfixed by the unfolding spectacle. The human pilots moved like a well-oiled machine, their ships dancing around the enemy fire with a grace that belied their deadly purpose. One by one, the Zorgan fighters fell to the UTF's onslaught, their hulls rupturing and their crews spilling out into the cold vacuum of space. But even as the UTF fighters pressed their advantage, the Zorgan capital ships began to move into position, their massive forms casting long shadows across the battlefield. Sirius felt a chill run down his spine as he realized the true scope of the enemy's power. He found himself wondering if even the combined might of the Allied forces would be enough to stop them. As if sensing his thoughts, Joshua Grant stepped up beside him, his face set in a grim mask of determination. "Don't worry, Ambassador," he said, his voice calm and assured. "We've got a few surprises in store for the Zorgan." As he spoke, a series of explosions rocked the Zorgan lines. Sirius watched in amazement as a group of UTF shuttles materialized out of nowhere, their cloaking devices shimmering and fading as they disgorged their cargo of human special forces onto the enemy ships. "Colonel Thompson's troops," Joshua explained, a hint of pride creeping into his voice. "They're equipped with the latest in stealth technology and close-quarters combat gear. They'll be wreaking havoc on the Zorgan command centers and supply depots, cutting off their ability to coordinate and resupply." Sirius shook his head in wonder, marveling at the audacity and ingenuity of the human plan. But even as he watched the UTF forces press their attack, a sudden sense of unease began to creep over him, a feeling that something was not quite right. And then he saw it. Rising up from behind the Zorgan lines like a malevolent sun, a massive spherical structure began to take shape, its surface bristling with weapons, and its form pulsing with an eerie, sickly light. Sirius felt his blood run cold as he realized what he was seeing. He heard Zephyr gasp in horror beside him. "A superlaser," Joshua whispered, his voice tight with tension. The Zorgan must have been working on it in secret, waiting for the right moment to unleash it. Sirius watched in helpless terror as the superlaser began to power up, its targeting systems locking onto the nearest planet with a chilling finality. He knew that if that weapon was allowed to fire, it would mean the end of not just the Quaxar system, but the entire galaxy. But even as despair threatened to overwhelm him, he saw a flurry of activity on the Odyssey's bridge. The human crew sprang into action with a speed and efficiency that left him breathless. He watched as they huddled around their consoles, their fingers flying over the controls as they worked to come up with a plan to stop the superlaser before it could fire. "Athena, run a full analysis of the superlaser's structure and power systems," Joshua barked, his voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. "We need to find a weakness, and fast." For a moment, there was silence on the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of the ship's computers. Then a smooth feminine voice filled the air, and Sirius realized with a start that it was the voice of the Athena AI. "Analysis complete," Athena said, her tone calm and measured. "The superlaser's power core is located in the center of the structure, protected by multiple layers of shielding and defensive systems. However, there is a small vulnerability in the cooling system that could be exploited to cause a chain reaction and destroy the weapon from within." Joshua nodded, his face set in a grim mask of determination. "Then that's our target. We'll need to send in a team to plant explosives at the core, and then get the hell out before it blows." Sirius felt a sudden surge of hope rising in his chest, but it was tempered by a sense of trepidation. He knew that any mission to infiltrate the superlizard would be incredibly dangerous, and that the chances of success were slim at best. But as he watched the human soldiers gear up and prepare to embark on their desperate mission, he realized that they were not doing it for glory or personal gain, but for the sake of the entire galaxy. They were willing to risk their lives, to make the ultimate sacrifice, in order to stop the Zorgon and protect the innocent. And in that moment, Sirius realized that he had been wrong about the humans. They were not just another species, not just another ally in the fight against the Zorgon. They were something more, something special. They were the guardians of the galaxy, the defenders of the weak and the innocent. And as he watched them charge into battle, their faces set with grim determination and their hearts filled with courage, he knew that he would never forget this moment, never forget the sacrifices they had made. For in the end, it was the humans who had saved them all. The humans who had stood against the darkness, the chaos, and the destruction, and emerged victorious. Sirius knew that he would always be grateful for that. Always remember the day when the humans had become the heroes of the galaxy. The final sacrifice. In the wake of the hard-fought victory in the Quaxar system, the Galactic Council gathered to chart a course for the future. Sirius and Zephyr took center stage, their voices ringing with conviction as they recounted the valor and sacrifice of the human soldiers who had turned the tide against the Zorgon. "The humans have proven themselves true allies," Sirius declared, his yellow eyes blazing with intensity. "They stood with us in our darkest hour, risking everything to defend the innocent and protect the galaxy. We must forge a lasting alliance with them, one that will ensure peace and stability for generations to come." Zephyr nodded in agreement, his voice thick with emotion as he spoke of the bravery he had witnessed firsthand. "I saw human soldiers charge into the face of certain death, never hesitating, never faltering. They fought not for glory or conquest, but for the sake of those who could not fight for themselves. We owe them a debt that can never be repaid." As the debate wore on, a new figure entered the chamber. Amanda Chen, the UTF Secretary of Interstellar Relations, her face grave as she addressed the gathered delegates. "I come bearing news that will shake the very foundations of this alliance," she said, her voice heavy with sorrow. "It has come to light that a rogue faction within the UTF, led by General Alexander Graves, has been developing a weapon of unimaginable destructive power. They call it Prometheus, and it is designed to eradicate the Zorgon from the face of the galaxy." A stunned silence fell over the chamber as Chen's words sank in. Then pandemonium erupted as delegates shouted over one another, some in horror, others in grim approval. "And what of the countless lives the Zorgon have taken?" countered a Quarry delegate, his multifaceted eyes flashing with anger. "How many more must die before we put an end to their threat once and for all?" As the debate raged on, Sirius and Zephyr found themselves torn. They had seen the cruelty of the Zorgon firsthand, had watched them slaughter innocents and raise worlds without mercy. And yet, the thought of wiping out an entire species, even one as vicious as the Zorgon, filled them with a profound sense of unease.